Good afternoon. It is now, isn't it? Good afternoon, everyone. And for those who be watching the replay at other times, good morning, good evening, and so on. And it's a real pleasure for us to be here again today to continue a very, very interesting conversation that we started last week. My name is Pauline Lehman, and I have my guest with me today, Femi, again, to get on with this very, very interesting conversation. And I find it very interesting and very, very useful because parenting is the bedrock for how a child turns out. So a child's future outcomes depends on parenting, on the parenting skills. And good parenting will produce well-mannered children, and it has a knock-on effect also on society at large. So when we parent our kids right, they not just have good, they don't just have good behavior, but they go on also to do well in school because we are very, very much involved with them. So today we will be talking about parenting with the next generation in mind. And for me, I think it's something that in the past couple of months I have been thinking about, and I think it makes so much sense. And I thought, let's have this conversation today with my guest, Femi, again. So when we look at statistics shows that children, especially within deprived community and BME communities in this part of the world where we live, a lot of them are involved in dysfunctional behavior, in antisocial behavior. A lot of them are going into the criminal justice system. A lot of them are going into care. They are underachieving. So the statistics speak really, really loud. So I want to ask you, Femi, so what do you think is to blame when children do not turn out right? I don't want to use the word when children are bad, because I believe that there is no bad child. Yeah. So if a child does not turn out right, then there is a fundamental problem. So I don't like tagging kids as a bad child, a good child, and so on. So who is to blame then? Is it the government, the school, the social services, the parents? Because sometimes, on the news, we say schools are failing children, social services are failing children, there's a funding cuts, and there's all sort of reasons that people, are giving for why things are not right. Okay. So what do you think? Who is to blame?
Okay. Thank you for having me again. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. I will also do a bit of amendment. Okay. I also try not to use the word blame. The reason I don't use the word blame is as soon as we use the word blame, everybody becomes defensive. Okay. And begins to justify themselves. And that does not allow us to reach a solution. And I'm more solution-minded. I'm more for, because I don't think, most people are not doomed. Mm-hmm. Children are not yet doomed. Yeah. They might not be behaving right at the moment. There's hope.
Yes, I believe
no matter where the child is at, there is hope. Mm. So you can move with deliberate planning and strategy. Mm-hmm. You can move from a place where your child is misbehaving and disruptive to having the child become a wonderful joy to work with. Yeah. So I'll say who is responsible, not who's to blame.
Who's to blame, fantastic.
I place a lot of responsibility, 99.9% of responsibility of outcome for children on parents. Mm-hmm. On parents. That's because parents have a unique place in the life of every child. Yeah. One is we know them the way nobody else knows them. Mm-hmm. They came out of you. So you already understand their proclivities, so because I have my children, I know in that sense things I expect them, some traits I expect them to exhibit.
Sure.
Things that I did at their age. So I'm already watching out. So as soon as they start exhibiting it to some extent, I know where that leads to.
Okay.
A child misbehaving is like a car crash in slow motion. You know, this car is going towards, is going to crash into that. And you can tell. But are you going to just shout, be like one of those people who will scream, oh no, oh no? Or are you going to grab hold of the steering wheel and say, no, this is not happening. I'm going to turn it around.
And that is taking responsibility.
That is taking responsibility.
Absolutely.
That's the crux of the matter for me.
Yes.
Take responsibility of your life or for your life. Take responsibility for the life of your child.
Fantastic.
Take responsibility for the life of the next generation, because you will determine what the next generation is going to be like. Fantastic. I said something last week, we all stand on the shoulders of giants.
Yes.
You will create the platform from which your children will take off.
Okay, don't go too far there. Let us take it step by step so we can build on that, because we're getting there anyway. So, parenting with the next generation in mind.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
It means the whole purpose of parenting is about the next generation in the first place. Mm-hmm. Parenting is all about the child and the children and their outcome. So we have to think of what's best for the child. So, and they are the next generation anyway. Mm-hmm. And whatever you put into the child is what will come out also in the grandchildren. So the generations, even yet unborn, their chances are linked to how you raise your children today. Because the reason you are the way you are is a function of how you were raised.
Yes, yes.
So what you're doing today is going to determine the outcome of your child's life and of their own children.
Now, when we look at the outcomes of, children in society where we live in today,
yes.
Do you feel a lot of parents are actually parenting with the next generation in mind?
No, the answer is no. Now, some are. Mm-hmm. There are more people that are doing that than we seem to realize. Mm-hmm. It's always the case of you feel you're the only one doing something, and then you speak to someone and you realize that, oh, so you also do this, or you also do this to different extent. Mm-hmm. But by and large, a lot of people are just coasting along on the path of parenthood. They are not deliberate. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't have any plans. They don't know what they expect. Mm-hmm. They are just doing it because they feel it's the natural thing. Mm-hmm. We had a baby because we got pregnant.
We were married, and so
exactly.
When you're married, you expect to have kids. We got pregnant.
So as a consequence of two adults being together, we had a baby, and then we raised them, just like that. Yes. No, you have to be deliberate. You have to ask yourself certain questions. Mm-hmm. And those questions are more important than anything else, because the questions will determine the answer you get.
Absolutely. When I do parenting talks or workshops, I use this scripture especially when I'm speaking in a church. It says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." Train up. So training is a process in the way he should go. Do you know the way your child should go?
That's the first question.
That is a question I ask a lot of parents. Now, I say this, that where do you see your child in 10, 15 years? And sometimes I see the gaze on people's faces and I'm like, okay, maybe they've not actually thought about it. And I then say, in the UK here, when we look at the royal family, we see when a child is born in the royal family, they already know that they are next in throne, maybe fifth in throne or sixth, yes, or whatever. And the way the children are raised up, it's with a lot of intentionality. They're raising up maybe the next king or the third in line or the fourth in line, yeah, to the throne. And the etiquette and everything that they're raising up, the way in which they're being raised up, is to be able to fit into that role when they become adults. And I ask every parent the question, where do you see your child? Now, if I see my child as a prime minister of the country, potential, or MP, or minister, or I see him as a CEO,
yes,
what am I doing from the foundation phase,
Okay.
to be able to ensure that this CEO that I am raising
Yes.
actually becomes a CEO. Because if I see my child as a CEO, will I be telling him, you stupid thing, you are good for nothing?
No.
You will definitely not use such words. And that is what we're talking about today. A lot of times, as we said, no child is bad, but kids do not always turn out right as how in the way God has ordained them to turn out because of us. So we're going to be focusing today on us a lot in this conversation. So I'm really getting very excited here. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Please just type in a comment so we know you're here. If you have comments, contributions, questions as we go along, please just feel free to type in your question. Please feel free to share as well. A lot of it's an issue that is really needed within society. It's very, very important. Parenting is important. So please feel free to share the video. Now, do you feel, Femi, that parents are well equipped? So let's take a typical example of a young man and a young woman. They get married, and then the next thing within an African setting is, everybody's looking out for pregnancy and
Yes.
children to come to life. So do you think parents are equipped for the parenting role?
No. Two parts to that. One is there's the organic part of parenting, which is you were raised in a family. So there are certain things you should have picked up from your parents.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the deliberate part where you go out and you acquire knowledge by study.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times we are coming from homes that are quite dysfunctional ourselves to some degree or the other. That's the truth. When we say dysfunctional, it's not always the man beats his wife or no. When we say dysfunctional, it means everything is not at the optimum level. Mm-hmm. Every family has something or the other. Everyone I know has an uncle that is less than the perfect example. Everyone I know has an auntie that even your parents feel they should keep you away from them a bit. Mm-hmm. We all have, families are not perfect. Mm-hmm. So every family to some extent or the other might be dysfunctional. So we all have things we would like to correct in our life. That, okay, when I have my own family, I'll do this aspect differently.
Yes, and that is so important.
It's important. So that is one thing. But then you need to then go out and acquire even more knowledge and find out what are the things others who have gone ahead of me have done that has been very good. Mm-hmm. What are the things others have done that have been detrimental so that I can avoid those mistakes, those pitfalls.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So that you need to go out there and acquire knowledge. It's amazing that when couples are getting together to get married, people will give books. Mm-hmm. They'll say books on sex, books on this. I rarely see anybody give a book on parenting when you have a child.
Yes.
But people, there are loads of books on sex they'll give you when you're getting married. Mm-hmm. There are loads of books on marriage. But I don't see anybody buying you a book on parenting. Mm-hmm. That tells you where our value system lies.
Absolutely.
And we do not realize that the value system is already predetermining the outcome of the next generation.
Absolutely. Because when we talk about values, a lot of times people come from two different backgrounds.
Yes.
And the homes they come from determine the sort of values that they have been instilled in them as they grew up. Now, when these two people come together, I think that is the genesis that is where it starts. And I think for me, I think that pre-marital parenting classes are so important. What are the values that you bring together into that marriage? And then we spoke about being intentional. Yeah. What are the values? Outline the key values, the core values that are unique to your family. Yeah. Now, when we're not sure of what the values are we want to instill in our children, we raise up kids and you wonder what is happening here. Now, I'm not trying to be prejudicial or, stereotypical and that kind of thing. But when I see, for example, a mother plaiting her young boy's hair, for example, now, again, I don't want to judge anybody, but I'm just asking the question. Where is that from? Who is your role model as a parent, or who is the child's role model?
Yeah, certain things. I'm one of those people who happens to be very open-minded.
Yeah.
But I put it this way to you. If you ask the right question, it will guide you in what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, ask yourself same question you asked, where do I see my child in 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
What would I wish or want? When you determine that picture, just hold that picture in mind and just ask yourself, whenever you want to do anything or make a decision, is this consistent with that picture? Simple.
Absolutely.
Someone will tell you, I want my son to be a doctor. But that same boy comes to you at the age of 14, I want to get a tattoo on my neck.
Mm-hmm.
Simple. Check the picture of the doctor you saw the last time you were at the GP surgery. Does that image confirm? No. See, in 10 years' time, you're going to complain about stereotyping. They're stereotyping my son.
Mm-hmm.
They're not allowing him to express himself.
Mm-hmm.
Stereotype is what we all stereotype.
Yes.
That's the truth.
Whether we want it
or not, it is what makes decision making easy.
Easier. It helps to guide people.
Yeah, we put things in boxes.
Yes, and the reason why stereotype is something that people do unconsciously is because if you're starting off with a value base, yes. It's like when I used to work in school, they would during an assembly on I think what was the assembly, but I can't quite remember, that they showed a picture of different people, okay, and they said who is likely from amongst the different pictures, is likely to be a terrorist, and everybody pointed to the people that would look like a terrorist. So whether we want it or not, unconsciously, and it's because we all have a value system, and because of the value system we have in place, we kind of unconsciously just, I won't say, I don't know if I can use the word judge. I don't want to use the word judge, but just
whether we like it or not, we do it ourselves. We do it ourselves. So then we complain when others do it to us.
Yeah.
Now, I put it to you this way. You don't think you stereotype. When we're all in school or you see children who are tall, why do you automatically assume and ask them, do you play basketball? Mm-hmm. Do you think every tall person is athletic? Do you think every tall person has good hand-eye coordination? Their height gives them a propensity for basketball. They have an advantage. So it is okay for you to stereotype and assume and say, you're not saying you're a basketballer. You're saying, do you play basketball? Because you're tall. So you have a propensity for it. Guess what? I love dressing very casually. I like to be free and all that. And I just love t-shirts and jeans and boots. And that's the way I like dressing. And I had to start smartening up a bit more because I traveled to London on business a lot. And I went to London once, got down from the tube station, and the drug dealer around the corner, said, "You want to buy a skunk? Do you want to buy a skunk?" And I thought, why would you ask me that? Do I look like someone who takes drugs? Mm-hmm. So I looked in the mirror and I told myself, okay, I know I don't take drugs, but maybe I should dress a bit more conservatively so that it is clear to people that I'm not this kind of person.
Yes.
It is my responsibility to make sure the message I'm passing out. And guess what? Communication is mostly non-verbal.
Non-verbal, yeah.
The way you dress already tells people where they should put you.
Absolutely.
Don't let your children do certain things. Don't complain. You will later complain, maybe it's racism, maybe it's this or it's that. Guess what? Most of it starts from your son is going out of the house. He's got a belt, but his trouser is almost falling down. Tell him, pull him back. Pull your trousers up. I bought you a belt for a reason. Put the thing on properly. And if that trouser is too big for you, it's not yet your size, go and hang it in the house and wear one that is your size.
And I think it's important for parents to speak to their teenagers and to even, I believe, instilling this mindset during a child's formative years. It's so powerful in helping a child form a picture in their mind of what is right. So you're walking around seeing children with droppy trousers, get into a conversation with them. I do that quite a lot, so that they understand how society views that.
Yeah.
Do they see any successful people, any MPs or ministers or presidents walking with droopy trousers and that kind of thing? And that way, they start to think, if I want to be great, I can't be going around with droopy trousers. If you take the case of hooded black hoods, this is a problem within the black community. Black kids already are being stereotyped.
Yeah.
When they see a group of black children walking with black hoods, faces covered, I mean, you were sharing with me that if you see children with teenagers, you cross the road.
Everybody will do that. It makes sense. It is just common sense that if you see a bunch of kids with hooded top, they are not likely to be studying mathematics. They are likely to be doing something else. So you stay safe. So why would you let your child leave the house looking like one of those kids? Pull them back. And the way it works is, don't shout on them. Sit them down and give them a sense of value.
That's it.
This is what I say to people.
Is key.
If you value yourself,
yes.
If you have, I say this to young girls or to fathers who have daughters. Any young girl who has a sense of self-worth does not allow anybody to kiss her behind the shed. Are you that kind of a girl that is, pushed around behind the shed? Come on, look at yourself. Do you really see yourself as that kind of a person? No. If you don't see yourself as that kind of a person, then you don't put yourself in that position.
That's right.
As a boy, if you know you're someone going somewhere fantastic. I always give this analogy that I made up. I said, can you imagine Michelle Obama? Can you imagine pictures of her surfacing that when she was 15, she had Indian hem in one hand and she had a breast out and skirt that was not up to anywhere? Can you imagine that picture now? No, you can't imagine it. So if you know you're going to become someone important in life, then do not put yourself in a situation that will be detrimental to your status later in life.
Absolutely.
We live in a bubble nowadays. Everything you do, someone is filming, someone is taking pictures, everything is out there. So protect yourself. You are the number one person who looks after yourself. You're the one. God gave you a sense of danger when you just know, I shouldn't be here right now. Leave immediately. So you're playing with your friend and it's getting a bit out of hand. One or two other people have joined you. It's time to leave. Don't bother looking cool. Just leave.
A lot of parents are really struggling. Hi, KJ. Thanks for joining. She says standard of behavior is what is missing in our society. And that is why we are saying here today that the standard of behavior, let's leave out the society.
It starts from home.
It starts from home. So it starts from home because when you send your child to school, your child is mixing with kids from all sort of backgrounds. You don't know what values the kids are bringing to school.
Yes.
You don't know the teacher's own values. So we cannot count on, we want to bring it here. We don't want to, as we said, blame or, blame the government and blame society. We want to, if each parent, each family did it right, then society will be different. So it's from the inside out rather than allowing the society to influence. Yes, the influence is there. We're not saying it isn't. But when the groundwork has been done, in the formative years, a child grows up knowing. I asked my daughter once, How do you feel seeing your daddy going around in droppy trousers? Said, no, my dad can't do that. It's not right. So in my children's mind, they know, they have an image of what is right and what isn't right. And that helps to guide them in their choices. So we're really emphasizing here to do this, to start this early, not start when they are teenagers. And last week, we spent a lot of time talking about relationship.
Yes.
It works through relationship. Because the time you spend interacting with your child, those are the opportunities, we call them teachable moments, where you pick every moment that comes your way to get a lesson from it. Children learn that. We can't go back to the ways that our parents did back home. They call a family meeting once a month, and that is when they tell you so much that you don't even take in, because you already come with a defensive mindset. So we need to be doing these things, especially when they are young. The formative phase, research shows that when those values are instilled in the formative phase, children take it into their teenage phase, and it helps guide them. So start early. We don't just say, don't do this and don't do that, but we want to carry them along. We want them to understand why.
Let them understand why you don't do that and why you do this. And
the consequences.
Yes.
The consequences.
And something you mentioned, or you hit on, that I want to emphasize on again is focus more on your children. There's something we used to say when I was a kid, that who is this bad influence that everybody keeps talking about? Because my parents would say, oh, whenever I do something, it's the bad influence. I'm sure you've been moving with some boys in your school. And my friends' parents would say that. And everybody, so who is this bad influence? Really? So you focus on your child. Focus on your child and let your child be a good influence.
That's right.
So I know we should be careful about bad influence, but focus more on making your child a positive influence. Because if I focus on my child and make my child the positive influence in his class, and a few other parents make their children positive influences, then there's enough positive influence and example in class and in society for the others to follow.
Absolutely.
And that it's all about peer pressure. Peer pressure works both to the negative and also to the positive. My dad told me from when I was a child, said, make sure that you're friends with the people in your class who are the most brilliant. If your friends are the backbenchers and the dullards, the most you can do is to be the one-eyed man who is king in the land of the blind.
That's right, and it made so much sense.
And I'm sorry if that is insensitive to anyone who is visually impaired. It's just this old African proverb that I think they have a version of it everywhere. But anyway, I apologize if it's insensitive to you. But what I mean by that is the circle in which you walk determines the influences that you take in.
Yes.
It can be both to the positive and to the negative. If you put yourself in the right atmosphere, it makes it easier for you to succeed.
That's
whether
right.
in school, in business, in marriage. Even in marriage, move with couples. I personally always make sure, as a matter of fact, I avoid getting close to anyone that I don't like the way he treats his wife.
Yes.
If I don't like the way you relate to your wife, I won't be close to you. It's just that simple. Because it trickles down.
It does.
Because your wife will begin to grumble to my wife and begin to talk bad about men. And I don't want my wife to come home and transfer the aggression, and I don't want to be paying for your sins.
That's right, yeah.
Because that's what happens.
Whether we want it to know,
whether you like it or not,
if
you don't treat your wife right, she will complain. The complaint will affect your children and affect the people around you in your close community. So be the positive influence.
Yes.
Be what you would like to see.
Yes.
Your children are a blank template, not totally blank, but they are a good opportunity for you to improve on yourself. You know that you're going to leave society with a better version of yourself.
Before we go to that, I just want to talk about influence. I've heard a lot of parents say, some parents, say their children should not relate with other children. That is not right. And I'm like, okay. Now, if we even look at the scripture that says bad company corrupt good character,
Yeah.
even the scripture says it that, the company your child keeps will influence them, in one way or the other. And that is why in the society in which we live, we see that middle and upper class people who raise their kids up different, they have better parenting, and they know, that mixing with, maybe the children from the lower class, I'm not saying they're all bad, might affect maybe their vision, their motivation, their behavior. And so what do? They move, they all living in a certain part of the city.
Yeah.
So it's not rocket science.
I'm sorry, I'm going to be a bit controversial now, but this is for your own good. And I'm just going to say it. The truth is this. I'll give you another old saying. They say, birds of the same feathers flock together. It's not only about bad behavior, about academics, about school, about everything. If you notice that the kids your child is hanging out with are too playful, hence your child is playing too much, if you want them to succeed, you need to reduce their playtime and say, okay, listen, you need to study a bit more. You need to give time to this. You need to create a timetable for them. They need to have time to play, yes, but they also need to have a structure. There's time to play, there's time to work, there's time for piano practice, there's time for play that is developmental.
Yeah.
Not all play. Play is not just play. I learned my native tongue by playing with my grandfather, because I went to schools where I was taught by, Catholic nuns and whatever. My grandfather, I would go to his house and then we'd play a game, and then he would tell me stories and whatever. And I learned my language, and then we'll pray together. And he used to ensure that I prayed in my own tongue. And it was hilarious trying to pray in Yoruba initially. But guess what? I am one of the most proficient in Yoruba language, in my language, amongst my peers now. Because I learned from the old school. I learned from my grandfather. But I didn't realize I was learning something. He didn't tell me he was trying to teach me that. He did it through play. And I said it last week. The first way of introducing my kids to mathematics, without them even realizing it, was we got a dartboard and we'll throw darts. And they didn't realize that they were doing subtraction, addition. Without paper.
Yeah.
So I got them a board and say, let's record our scores. And they will do it. And they were learning, mental arithmetic. So you can do it through play, but that doesn't just happen anyhow. You have to be deliberate about it. You have to.
That is the key word.
You need to plan it. Why did I do that? I noticed my boys were naturally good at mathematics. Thank God for my wife. They got it from their mom.
They got the genes.
Yeah, they got it from their mom. But guess what? It is my duty to then sharpen what they already have naturally.
Yes.
So I got the dartboard and got them into their mathematics. And then when they started doing mental arithmetic and they already like it, they are not phased when you sit them down and say, let's do mathematics. It's about the entry into something.
Yeah.
So please be deliberate in structuring your children's lives.
Yes.
There are people that will tell you, let children be children. That's a very silly thing to say. What do you mean, let children be children?
People will judge you and feel you're overprotective. You don't want your children to
mix with theirs. If you give them a timetable, if you give them a timetable, listen, they can play with other children if it is their playtime that is allocated for play. But if somebody is knocking on your door to ride bicycles when their kids are supposed to be doing their revision or their assignments, I'm sorry, no matter how antisocial that might appear, I would rather be antisocial and let my child succeed.
Yes, I think that a lot of parents, I've spoken with some parents who felt helpless actually saying no. One parent told me she felt like the neighbor was kind of running their home, because once the child comes back, the child, they knock on the door, child goes out and jumps into the car and they go everywhere, and it just became, she felt completely helpless. So I think
you need to put boundaries.
That is it.
Saying no is a good thing.
It is.
When you, once you've set boundaries, and then it makes your life easier. Once there's a timetable, put it on the fridge.
Yes.
So that the child knows that from when I come back from school, I have lunch. I start working, doing my assignments and this at this time, then you're able to structure their time so that they're not doing their assignment when they're already tired.
Yes.
And they're just giving...
And they're using time effectively.
Yeah. Effective time management starts with do the most important work when you're at your optimum strength.
Yeah.
Then when you're already getting tired, you can go and play.
Awesome.
Don't give your best time to play. And then the most effective, when you're at your best, to, just... You need to be deliberate. You need to plan.
And you can even use the play as a reward.
Yeah.
Work first. Do what is important first. And if you do it really quickly, then you could...
If you do a good job,
go out
then
and play.
And it will be hard on you as a parent. Don't let them just do their assignment. Mark it.
Yes.
Sit down and check it so that they know there's a consequence. If they do a shoddy job, they will get to do it all over again.
Yeah.
That will teach them whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well.
That's right.
You can say that a million times. Whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. They just know it mentally. But the day you sit them down on the dining table, your assignment, you go through it, you've not done this well, you've not done this well, take it back, go and redo it. And if they don't do it properly again, you then sit down with them. And then go, you don't need to sit on top of me, mommy. I can do it by myself. No, you've not shown yourself to be responsible enough to be left alone.
That's right.
And until you earn that respect, you'll be treated like a child. They have to earn your respect. They have to earn everything. Don't just give it to them for free because you have it. Whether it's money, whether it's respect, whether it's time. You don't just assume your child is good. We know they're good. We pray they're good. But make them be good.
Yeah.
To earn the respect.
That's right. Absolutely. Fantastic. I mean, some really important things you've said there. And we could actually build on it, but I want us to kind of just narrow down to what we want to talk about today. So we're talking about a secure sense of identity for the parents. What is a place of... Why is it important for a parent to form that sense of identity? Because, we're talking about parenting with the next generation in mind. And if as a parent, you're not sure of your own identity, who you are, what you believe in, what you stand for, it will definitely have an impact. Yeah. So can you...
that is a massive topic on its own, to be honest. Identity is something, because I'm involved in a lot of, mentoring young people, and identity is just a massive topic a lot of, especially young people, and even a lot of older people, that are of the Afro-Caribbean extraction or the Asian extraction. We have a lot of sense of displacement because you have a generation of parents who lived in Africa, grew up in Asia or Africa or wherever, and have a clear sense of identity of who they are.
Yeah.
And they're raising their children here, and those children being raised here feel a certain way at home, but they feel like society treats them differently, and they struggle. Am I British or Asian? Am I Pakistani or British? Am I Nigerian or British? Am I Ugandan or Ghanaian? Am I Cameroonian or British? And the society doesn't make it easy. When you see the census, whatever, you will see it enrages me to some extent. They'll say British, British, African, Black British, or whatever.
Black African.
Black African. And I go, why? You have already told me I'm not British. That you recognize me more as African than British. Why should the fact that I'm Black create a separate class of citizenship? So that is where society is at. But it doesn't affect people like myself because we have a very clear sense of our identity.
Yes.
I'm Nigerian British, right? I'm 50% Nigerian, 50% British. or actually I put it, I'm 100% Nigerian and 100% British. If I get to Nigeria today, I'm just as Nigerian as any other Nigerian. Yes, it might take me 2 or 3 days to acclimatize to the heat again, but I'm just as Nigerian as anybody else. In England, I'm 100% British. I do not allow anybody to make me feel less than themselves in my Britishness. I'm just as invested in this country as anybody else, because I raise, my loved ones are here, my children are here, so I have the best interest of this country at heart. So I'm just as British as the Queen. That's the truth. I love this country as much as anyone. So, but those kids we're raising who, when they go to school, are confronted with, and there's this silly question people always ask, where do you come from? Manchester. I mean, originally.
Or where do your parents come from?
Or where do your parents come from? When was the last time you checked the genealogy of the Queen or the Prime Minister or Boris Johnson, whose family comes from Turkey, you know, the former leader of the Labour Party, whose father came from Brazil, you know, and the mom. But because they're Caucasian, nobody questions their heritage. But as soon as you're not Caucasian, people already, and even people of color, do the same thing to you. These problems are there. But it is your job as a parent to give your children a clear sense of identity. But you cannot do that properly if you do not have a clear sense of identity.
Absolutely.
Many things can help with that. Religion helps with a sense of identity.
Yeah.
If you're a Christian, you can find your sense of identity in Christ. If you're Muslim, that can inform your sense of identity.
Yeah.
Now, I have a sense of identity that is holistic. I'm a Christian, but I'm also a Yoruba man. That's my culture. That's the culture under which I was brought up. But also as a Christian, I pass that on to my children, right? But you need to find what? If you, last week I mentioned something, reading can help you form a sense of identity.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't even know who your dad is or your mom is. It's not an excuse for an adult not to have a sense of identity. Read books. You can have a father figure that you've never even met. You know what? Books are powerful.
They are, yeah.
They can fire your sense of imagination. You can create, I tell you, okay, you can create a whole new sense of identity for yourself. Totally new. What if you were adopted? A lot of the sense of identity we have is created, is constructed. I believe I'm Yoruba because I was told I'm Yoruba because I grew up around there. If my mom were to tell me today that actually I brought you from Jamaica, but I never knew you were in Jamaica, what do? I have to get with that new plan. It will be discombobulating. But what I'm trying to say to you is you can form a sense of identity starting from now.
And it's really
deliberate.
To be
pick the right
sure.
books to read,
Yeah.
so that you're sure in yourself of who you are, where you're at. Because if you don't know where you're coming from, it's difficult to know where you're going.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the same way.
And a lot of parents in that situation struggle to know what to pass on to their children.
Yeah, because they are not sure themselves. So if you're sure
it's
in
like
yourself
the
who
case
you are,
of parents, plaiting your boy's hair and all of that kind of thing, and
you wonder why the boy is confused.
you wonder why the boy is confused indeed, yeah, and that kind of thing. So,
and you know the funniest thing is, I've seen both sides. Funny enough, I've seen boys who are in. See, if you have a loving, caring environment that is very supportive, children can grow up and get away with some things. You might make some mistakes. We all make mistakes. You will make mistakes. It's a promise.
Sure.
Because I make mistakes.
No one is perfect.
Nobody is perfect. Some of my mistakes I find out with hindsight. And I was like, oh, so I was doing that wrong. Thank God. But with a loving environment, you will get through a lot of things. A lot of mistakes will not have too much effect in a good, loving environment. The key is, first of all, the parents love each other, and even, I don't want to, okay, even if you are not so much in love anymore, do not damage the children by fighting in front of them.
Very
or by
important
conducting, do not conduct your relationship. As long as your relationship is less than loving, don't conduct it in front of the children.
Very important.
Because the damage, that is one of the greatest things that damages children. Is there, because they do not have the language to articulate what they're looking at and what they feel about it. What they just feel is a sense of resentment. They just come to hate their father or their mother, and the sense of resentment grows with time until a stage where they don't even know the reason they hate you. They just don't trust you.
And then we see that,
and they begin to act out
during the teenage phase.
They act out terribly.
They start to act out. They start to rebel.
Yes,
it is so important
because they don't trust you. They don't like you, and if you ask them by that stage, they can't even tell why they don't like you. They just know they can't trust anything you say. You're an hypocrite. That's why I said last week, don't lie to your children. Don't lie in front of them. They learn not to trust you. They learn not to value your words. You lie one moment and the next one you're saying, listen, this is important. They can't take it serious.
Yeah. So that ties in with the values you spoke about, isn't it? Where
yes, your sense of identity.
If as a couple, as a parent, you have those values. We can't do this in front of the children because we have to protect them, no matter how
angry you get.
Angry,
you will never speak harshly to your wife. Especially, you will never insult your husband to the hearing of the children. You will never speak a harsh word to their mother in front of them. You're doing more damage than you think. The statistics tells us that boys especially who witness physical violence against their mom end up physically abusing their own partners in future. So they hate it, they will be disgusted by it, but they can't help acting it out also.
Just because they've seen it as the way to respond. So
that's the example of manhood.
Yes.
Presented to them.
We've not taught the children how to respond in the right way. Yes, we'll have disagreements. How do we respond?
How do you resolve conflict?
Yes.
So I grew up in a family where, and I didn't realize how important this is. No matter what happens, my mom believed in you must voice your opinion. You must voice your opinion. I think she goes a bit too far with it, to be honest with you, because we could tell my mom anything, anything, no matter what it is. But in the very next minute, no matter the words that have just been spoken, my mom expects you to be able to help each other, be there for each other the very next moment. She believes once you've said it, it's done. You've spoken your mind. You do not hold grudges. And that helped me a lot. Now, of course, like I said, there's the negative connotation to certain things. Some people say, oh, I'm frank. I just call a spade a spade. I just say there are certain things you don't say. Words are important. Words are like eggs. Once you crack it, you can't put it back together. So even if it crosses your mind that your husband is stupid, never let it come out of your mouth, because you can never take it back. You can say, I don't mean it, but you can't unsay it because it stays on his mind. So later on when you have an argument and you imply something, it will cross his mind that, oh, she thinks I'm stupid anyway.
That's right,
So don't say it. No matter what words are extremely important. Do not say it. Don't tell your child they're stupid or they're not good for nothing, or they're like you're like your father. He was a horrible man too. So words are extremely important. They build people up. Build your family up with your words. And then show them the best example. Now, this is where a bit of division of labor. Women tend to be extremely good at building people up with their words. It's just something I've noticed more. I don't know, maybe it's the maternal instinct, is that whatever, or maybe men have been brought up to be a bit more whatever. We're learning it. But most women naturally, most people will tell you, if your mom tells you something, you never forget. You never forget. And funny enough, it works also with wife to husband. When my wife tells me something encouraging, it sticks with me. And if she criticizes me, it's almost like below the belt. It pains you more than anybody else's criticism. You really don't care what the world says or thinks of you. But what your spouse says about you or says to you matters more. This is exactly for the children. It's even magnified for the children.
Because they believe they see parents as their heroes.
Until you damage that relationship.
That is it. They trust you. And so if you tell them they're stupid, they are dumb, they are this, they take it as that and they hold on to it. It stays in their subconscious.
And they begin to act accordingly.
Then
you call them stupid enough,
prophecy.
They will begin to act stupid.
Yes.
So don't be surprised if you call your child stupid and he begins to be stupid. You prophesied it. You called it.
That's right.
So build them up. Tell them what you want them to be. Say what you want, not what you can see.
And I think parents should be careful as well to not damage their children's self-esteem, because children are born, they come into the world, as she says, the blank slate, full of self-belief. That's why a baby would want to climb on a table and believe they can jump off the table and not be hurt until they jump and hurt themselves, or touch a hot iron, or touch, the radiator and then discover that it's hot. So they have such a strong sense of self-belief, but parents, and other adults, in teachers and other adults in the children's lives start to destroy it. Yes. Now, studies show that 78% of adults have a problem with self-esteem. Yep. And it is such a difficult thing to mend. So let's protect our children's self-esteem. If we're talking here about parenting the next generation in mind, if you're raising a leader and you're destroying that leader's self-esteem, how will they forge to become a leader? How that leader in them come out when they stand with people? All that comes in their mind, I can't say anything that makes sense because my parents always tell me, your thought doesn't make sense, and they don't even give them the chance to speak. So we need to...
My wife has a rule, and she enforced that. She said, you will never say to my child, shut up. You can say it any other way. You can say, no, be quiet. Don't say that. But you would never say, shut up. You need to let them know they are valuable.
Sure.
Their thoughts, their opinions are valuable.
Yes.
You can correct things that are said wrongly or opinions. You can say, oh, no, that's actually not true. Or don't put it that way. Or this. But don't say, shut up. Don't shut them up.
So crucial.
They're valuable. And then, this is extremely important. I want to touch on this because the statistics and the things we're hearing now tells us self-harming and things associated with bad mental health or, due to low self-esteem is on the rise. And
among the
it's
young
terrible.
People.
It's terrible right now.
Yeah.
It's getting to, epidemic proportions. Please, we can help our children. Don't wait until they are in, a terrible state. Build up their self-esteem. Yeah. You have a daughter. Magazines will show them size 0. Magazines will show them unreasonable expectations. You need to help them. And it starts with you as a mom or a father. If you cannot walk around in the house without makeup, you're already sending a message across to your daughter. You have to be, good looking every time. Almost like your self-worth is attached to what you look like.
Yes. Which is...
There's a balance.
Absolutely.
You cannot... they have to be able to relax.
Yes.
People say things, they throw away phrases now. Because I work with a lot of young people, I get to learn things. I recently learned something that they wake up on fleek. That on fleek, they said means that you look... on fleek means... I hope I'm getting this right. On fleek, they explained to me that on fleek means you look wonderful. You look spot on. In fact, they use this to say you've put on your face. I was like, why would you put... It's not a mask. No. Now, when you put on the makeup and everything, you've constructed the image.
Yes.
You really look the way you want to look now. That you're on fleek. So next thing, some people wake up and that means you are always looking gorgeous and all that. All those little things builds pressure. When young girls of 13, 14 are trying to look perfect, they're already trying to... I've heard of 15, 16-year-olds who wanted to do breast implants.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
They're not even fully developed yet. They're already planning to do breast implant and things like that. It starts from they feel less than. They don't feel they're good enough. They don't think they look beautiful enough. Tell them every day they are beautiful. Tell them every day they look wonderful.
And also as mothers, as parents, when we understand that these people are not real. A lot of the pictures, I was saying to my kids that it's difficult to know which picture is real now. Everything is photoshopped. So you take a picture, even on the phone, there are apps to just, smoothen so
As a rule, I never touch any picture of mine, and I don't let others touch the picture.
Yeah.
And I won't let my children use it. Why? It's already a sense of you're living a fake life.
That is it. So children need to understand that a lot of girls are experiencing what we're talking about. Mental
you're
health
good
issues.
enough as you
They
are.
are not happy with who they are. They feel my nose is not straight, my this is not that, and they don't understand that the people they see out there on social media are not real. Some people spend hours putting layers and layers of makeup and everything it takes, and that is not real.
You need to have conversations. Okay,
Yes.
I had this conversation with someone recently that, okay, you look at this celebrity and you think you want to be like that. But do you really want to be like that? Do you know the consequence of looking like that? Some people have shaved their teeth until it looks perfectly white and it's straight and everything, but they've removed all the enamel or whatever, they've capped it and everything. They're so sensitive they can't drink cold water.
Yeah.
So what is the essence of having money when you eat cardboard? I heard that some models now eat paper.
Wow.
Because they want 0 calorie to keep size 0. So you're making money, you're very popular, but you can't enjoy food. You can't enjoy drinks. No hot drink, no cold drink, because your teeth are sensitive. You can't really, if you can't enjoy good food, you'll be disgruntled, you'll not be in a good mood.
That is part of that helps with enjoyment of life.
Yes.
That's the way God
Some
has
things
made
are
it.
so fundamental that nobody can share them with you. The food you put in your mouth, nobody else can chew it for you. That you can enjoy. You can buy food for everybody on the table, but the one you put in your mouth is the one you enjoy. So
That's right.
Enjoy food, live a balanced life. Make your children live a balanced life. Let them wear the right clothes.
Yeah.
If your small boy or girl is trying to wear designer clothes now, say no to that. Why? If a child at age 10 is already conscious of the name of the designer logo on their shirt, you're definitely putting them on a bad path. I hope they can afford it. I hope you can afford it.
It might actually be the parents insisting their children would wear designer clothes. So it's
because they want their child to look the best.
Because I don't think children will be thinking that way.
The problem is you pass it on to them.
That is it.
So there are kids now that by the time they're 10, they won't be caught dead in anything less than this design or that design.
Yeah.
So I say to you as a parent, now I want my children to look their best. As babies and growing up, you buy the best you can possibly afford. But once they are old enough, from like 7, 8, I begin to teach them about money. I take them shopping with me. And guess what? I take them into Ask That Judge. Pick a t-shirt. You see how much it is? And I'll take them shopping in another shop that will offer something more expensive. Look at the two. And I'll let them know the budget for your clothes is just £300 or £400.
Yeah.
So you have a choice. If we spend all the £300, that means for Christmas, you have £50 left. Your gift is going to be £50 no matter what. If you are sensible and you pick the right clothes, if you have £100 left, I'll add it to that £50 for Christmas.
Yeah.
You teach them delayed gratification. Which
Absolutely.
is, let me tell you, that's the key to being rich in life.
Yes.
If you begin to spend more than you have, you will eventually be poor, no matter how much money you're making now.
That's true.
And some people are setting their children up for poverty because they're not teaching them.
They don't say no.
They don't learn to say no. Everything the child asks for, you give them. So the child learns to always have everything they want now. So they will eventually be the type of people that will buy sofa now and pay later. How can you buy what you're sitting on? It's just for sitting on, and you're buying it now and paying later. I'm sorry we're straying into that, but it's part of the sense of value.
Yes.
If your children begin to, the borrower is slave to the lender.
Yeah.
So if you do not give them that sense of value, one of the most important things, they teach sex education in school, but they don't teach the meaning of APR. They don't teach the meaning. The parents don't even know what APR is.
Yeah.
That means you don't read the paper for your credit card. I pity you. And you think the government is making you broke. It's not the government. You are making yourself broke. And you're passing it on to your children. Teach them about finances. Teach them about money. Spending.
Really. And they need to see parents exhibiting delayed gratification as well. It kind of takes on to the very last aspects, which I think we've spoken a bit about it, which is parents being a role model. So if you are the type that goes to shop and everything you see you must buy, even when you know that it's already going into the negatives and building up, or you're using going from one credit card to the other, then children know that, I can't, that it's not okay to wait, that it's okay to just buy it. But if you go and say, I really like this, okay, I have to, budget to buy it another time, I need to save, it's a bit pricey, or it's not in our budget for this month, you are indirectly telling them, inculcating it into them, even without knowing. Selvum says, spot on, let's teach them about finances. Absolutely.
Yes, they teach them in school about sex, they teach them about gender, they teach them about everything, but they don't teach them about priorities, putting down your finances, putting it right. Everybody starts out with a perfect credit rating until we spoil it.
Yeah.
Until we spoil it.
Yes.
We all start out with a perfect credit rating. Help your children to start investing now. Let them understand the value of money and what money is meant for. And guess what? If you yourself do not understand these things, find out, research who can teach you, and let them teach you as a family.
And the good thing is that there's so much online, so much in
so much
day and age.
information.
There's more than enough information out there. There's good, bad, but you would always find.
And being a role model, some
yes.
people think being a role model means you're perfect in front of your children. I disagree with that.
No, it isn't.
You can learn things together. You
yes.
can be real in front of them.
Yes.
Like I told my children my story about I wasn't the best student initially. It took me some time to catch up. I was too playful initially, and I suffered seriously for it because it took me time to catch up with my mates and all that. Because by the time I realized you cannot continue living like this, you will not. Of course, I was still young. I was still a student. But I realized, I caught on to the fact that you cannot continue like this. You've got to do something about it.
Yeah.
And I had to. So I told my children that. And I told them why that is important. Why you have to self-assess. You have to analyze yourself and tell yourself whether you're on track for the kind of destiny you want for yourself.
Now, talking about role models, you're right, it's not about being perfect because nobody is perfect. And, being able to share our weaknesses, our mistakes, our areas for development, it's really important in the process of raising up children who learn to self-reflect.
Yes.
I must say that as a role model, research shows that 90% of how your child turns out depends on you. So if that is important, remember we're talking here about parenting with the next generation in mind. So if you look at yourself, I always ask, look at yourself. Would you want your child, when they become an adult, to be an exact copy of you? If your answer to that is no in certain aspects, then I would work on those aspects. I would go all out of my way. I believe so much. I'm one that is big on education, on self-education.
It's
I think
extremely important.
It is so crucial.
And make it practical. I'll give you an example now. I'll own up to something. Now, I have a sweet tooth. I drink Coca-Cola like it's going out of business. My wife, on the other hand, is quite disciplined with food and drinks and stuff like that, and exercise. And I thought, you know what? I've got to work on this. Why? I realized a lot of black people are dropping dead from cardiac problem, diabetes, and all that. Why? Because we eat a lot of oily food, a lot of junk food, and all that. We love our fried chicken. Yeah. So, and we drink a lot of fizzy drink and a lot of sugary stuff. So too much salt, too much sugar, two bad extremes. So I said, you know what, I've got to cut down on these things. So beginning of the year, I said, you know what, I'm cutting out Coca-Cola, Pepsi and all that. And I'm going to start drinking just water. And I involved my kids. I let them know, you know what, it's not good that I drink too much Coca-Cola and this. So I'm not going to be giving it to you. And I'm going to try and work on it myself. And they would laugh at me and say, Daddy, I don't think you're going to last 1 week. You can't go without drinking Pepsi. You can't do that. And I started working on it in front of them, involving them. So we get bottled water and I'll be measuring my water. You know, I have to drink 2 liters of water in a day. I have to do this. And then I realized, you know, I need a bit of taste. So I started buying Ribena to put in my water. You know, it's almost like a drug now. So you have to step down from Coca-Cola to Ribena because I just was struggling with just straight water.
Plain water, yeah.
But guess what? We're in June. I don't miss Coca-Cola anymore. I'm able to walk through the shop and not feel like I need to buy Coke. I'm drinking my Ribena now. Oh, see?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, I always have it with me. That's where I used to have Coca-Cola with me. I feel a lot healthier. My wife noticed and told me how many days ago that we've actually saved quite some money because we're not buying our shopping. You know, when we go shopping, you know, what we call Tesco Asda shopping or Sainsbury's shopping, you know, Coca-Cola and Pepsi, the fizzy drink, I was going through, you know, God knows how many liters every week. So that was costing us at least extra 10, 12 pounds almost on a weekly basis on just that.
Yeah.
Now, it's a lot cheaper. I'm a lot healthier, feel stronger and better. But I involve the children so that they understand, even if you realize something is less than ideal, you can work on it.
Yeah, even work on it as a family. Say, you know, as a family, these are the areas we need to work on. For me, it's chocolates.
Ooh.
And it's chocolates. And so when I started to go on diet, I thought, you know, I was a bit overweight. I needed to do something about it. I told my kids, you know, this is it. I have a target to lose weight. So one, I'm going to not get chocolates into the house. Then they don't have a sweet tooth because my husband does it and he discourages us having a lot of snacky stuff at home because he doesn't want the kids to addicted to snacky stuff. So we don't have lots of snacky stuff at home. So, but when chocolate gets into the house, maybe someone brings a present or so, I'm like, I can't stop eating it. So I got them all involved and each time, oh mom, you said this. Oh my, remember mom, you are on a diet. Even when we go out, you know, and there's cake and stuff, remember mom, and they're always there to support. And it just, what we're doing is telling them that you can improve yourself.
Yes.
So you can't stay. So if
it's okay to admit I have a problem with something and then work on it. The problem is not that you have a problem. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
It's just to identify and say, okay, from now, these are the steps we will take to rectify this.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. Let each generation be better than the last.
That is right. So if the issue is maybe you easily get angry as a parent, as a mother, you know, sometimes mothers can easily get out of control and start to talk, you know, whatever it is those habits are, bear in mind you are a role model for your child. They're going to pick it up as being the natural response to frustration, as being the natural response to pressure and that kind of thing. So, you know, I don't know if you have anything else to say about being a role model here before we finish off today.
The earlier you start, the better. Usually, naturally, children would look up to their parents.
Yes.
Take that role seriously. Be deliberate in how you use that power of influence to influence them for good. Because once you lose it, and footballers and people they see in magazines are now their role model, you can't get them back. It's difficult to get them back.
That's right, yes.
It's difficult. So now that when you have their attention as kids and they still look up to you, influence them for good. But you cannot give what you don't have. Remember, garbage in, garbage out.
Yes.
You need to educate yourself.
Yes.
So that you know you're giving the best to your children and you're influencing them so that they can be better. Ask yourself the question, if I influence my children right now the way I am, would it be sufficient for them in the future? Because life is competition.
Yes.
Others are raising their kids. So whether your children are going to be leaders of tomorrow or they're going to be followers of tomorrow, it's up to you.
That's right.
Be deliberate.
Yes, be deliberate.
Educate yourself so that you can educate them.
That's right.
Research, find out things, and you have the natural help. See, you're equipped for this.
That's right.
You're equipped for this. You're able to do this. With all your mistakes, with all your temper and all the whatever, none of us are perfect. You can still do a good job.
And it's never too late.
Never too late.
Never too late.
Just be open about it. Write out, oh, next time I get angry, this is what I'll do. I'll walk away, I'll count to 20, and then when I come back, I must say a word of prayer first. So, and then I'll first say all the positive things about my child before I say one criticism. If you can follow that, force yourself to do that, even the children will notice that you're making an effort.
Do you know that's what happens in organizations when they do performance management? During the meetings, they start with the strengths before they go on to weaknesses.
Yeah,
so,
you don't just reinforce the negatives, the negatives. You must, before you criticize your child, first say something positive and pick on a strength before you pick on a weakness.
Yeah.
So, come here, young man, sit down. You know, when I want to scold my children, I make them sit on my lap.
That's a good one.
That's what I do. So that they understand experientially that this is coming from an attitude of love.
Yes.
I don't want, when I change my voice or I'm scolding them, I don't want them to shrink back in fear. No, they should never have a fear of physical, they should never feel like they're in physical danger around you. So even if they know they're in trouble, they've done something wrong, they should be able to come and tell you. And while they're seated there, like, okay, this is not. And my son would one of them would immediately say, okay, I know I'm still going to get punished for this. I said, yes. You know I love you so much.
Yes.
But I'm still going to punish you for this. So he will try to bargain because I taught him that I'm a businessman. So one of the first things I taught my children is, don't just take whatever is given to you. Life does not give you what you deserve. Life gives you what you take from it.
Yes.
So when I tell my child, okay, what you're going to do is, no TV. I don't do that anymore because it doesn't work. I once punished him. I said, no TV for a week because I was really crossed with him. I said, no TV for a week. All you're going to watch is, I think, was it the news or something? I said he was only allowed to watch National Geographic. He was not allowed to watch any cartoons or any children's program. National Geographic, where they just show animals. I regretted it because by the third day, he was loving it so much that it didn't sound like a punishment. And he was learning so much. It didn't sound like a punishment anymore. So I stopped that. And the next time I was angry with him, I told him to write an article. So I got a newspaper and told him to write an article about something really difficult. That I had to do a lot of research and all that. So that was that. After that, he would negotiate, be like, Daddy, please, not something from the newspaper. Let me write about my last study or something. And then he would start negotiating with me.
Yeah.
But it's
I think
love.
that is so powerful because when we talk about consequences, a lot of times we're looking at the negatives, which have their place. But I think, raising up children with these, I call them educational consequences.
Yeah. Something that will develop him in an area.
Yes.
Now, his letter writing and story writing is fantastic now because that was used as a punishment for such a long time. But then my wife corrected me after a while. I said, we need to stop that so that it does not always associate writing with punishment.
Yeah.
And then we had to change it and we looked for something else.
I felt the same. I used reading. So
exactly.
In your bedroom, no technology, reading.
Read.
And then I thought, okay, but now associating reading and punishment, and we don't really want that. So
you swap it around.
Yes.
So you have to keep
innovating,
thinking and exactly.
Yeah.
Parenting requires you to improve yourself.
Yes.
You have to think of new ideas.
Yes.
You have to. So it was a punishment for my child to go and sweep or clean or do something. But after some time, we realized, no, That's not a punishment. House chores are just normal things that we all do because we are a team as a family,
yes.
and we all contribute something. Should you watch your mom do all the chores and she's tired? That's not fair, is it? Good. Why don't you help her out? That's what we do to loved ones. So house chores are not punishments anymore in my house. It's what we all
It's
do.
what we all do.
We all do
contribute
it
to
together
make it
as a
happen.
team,
Yes.
so that we can all finish the work on time, so that we can have time to spend together, to play together. If we want to play together as a family, we need to finish our chores together. So the sooner we all contribute and help, the sooner we can finish it. And it changes the way they look at it then. Now they're not grumbling. They are reminding each other, say, have you, put the plates in the dishwasher? Have you, dried the dishes? Have you done this? Have you done that? So that when daddy comes, we can play with him.
Yeah.
So we just think about it. God will help us.
And it takes patience.
Yes.
Patience. There are going to be times when things won't go as planned.
Yes.
Still love them. Still be patient. And our topic today was parenting with the next generation in mind. And we've discussed so much. I think this discussion has been so rich. There's so much to draw from. And I want to leave you with this, drawing from something that you said, Femi. Empower yourself. So you are your child's role model. You have to empower yourself so you can empower your child and raise a great child. And I know it is possible because there's greatness in your child.
Yes.
Never give up on your child. And I pray God will bless you and give you grace to raise great children. Thank you very much for joining. Please, I want to thank Emma, Salvam, who else did I see? KG, and everyone else that joined at some point in time. I didn't leave a comment. Thank you so much for joining. Please share. I know it's going to bless one or two parents out there. We have to work together as a community to ensure that no parent is left behind. Yes. Every parent, especially within our community, there's a lot of stigma, attached to us as a community, attached to our children, and we need to work together to ensure that we change things. Together, we can raise a great next generation. Have a lovely weekend, and God bless you. Bye-bye.